Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Euro indices, and starting with the DAX here. Let's go for a bit of a tour on this because we were looking at wave 3 here, wave 4. The 38.2% retracement level comes in around 11.8 here, so we're reasonably close. However, still the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree is lower as well, and I want to talk about that today as well. But for the bullish count at the moment, basically what we've been looking for was an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then basically looking for 5 waves to the upside here. With that in mind, we can go to the 4-hour chart here and start looking at those 5 waves to the upside here, and we can look at it like this here. So an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, with wave 1 and wave 2, and looking up for wave 3, 4, and 5. So we want to make a new high above here. Wave 3 normally has the extension in it, so let's see how we go with that. So we can be looking at a buying opportunity in here as well. So wave 1 here, wave 2. If we get wave 1 in here and wave 2 back, then we can start to move in here. And today we want to talk about the long trade setup in here, and that would look a little bit like this here, but I'll get into more detail with that. Up for wave 1 here, ABC for wave 2, and then this level here, the 12,200 here, we want to see that as support. Okay, so the normal thing we do is if I could just use this as an example here, the market comes up, reacts. So this is like a classic trading levels pattern here. There's variations on those that you can have a look at, but basically the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, we don't chase that. Then we wait for some sort of pattern. Now, if it's going to fail, then it's going to continue to move all the way down. But normally we look for a corrective pattern. In this way here, we've got a corrective pattern. And then we use that high here as the original trigger here. But then you can bring it down to the second high or third high. If you really want to refine it, then you wait for the first high over on this level, the next attempt after this corrective pattern. And then you work from that level, and then you trade from this level to the next level, because there'll be a correction in there. In this case here, we were counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up here. So we've got an ABC here. So really what we want here is we've got the arrival here, we've got the reaction here. Now we're looking for the first high above the level. So once we've got the first high above the level, in that will be the trigger here for that, but we will need to see the market move down after that. So market moves down, and it will probably create other highs in the first swing back. We don't want to chase that, but then we can bring that down onto that one, and then eventually after we've had the correction here, if it finds support on here, then we can move it down to here and so on, then we can go there, and that's how you get the as well. It's a simple way of getting the timing sort of happening. So I will look at this in a bit more detail as well. This level here, the 2 here, from that high to this low here, that's the 50-60% retracement level 2, pretty much on and above that 12,200 there. So tested support on that will be critical for any long trade, because if it's going to fail, this is where it's going to fail from. Okay, so there should be some type of corrective pattern within all of that, and support gained on that in due course. It might not be as big as this, it might be a little bit quicker than this because it's at the beginning of a trend. So this one here, there's the beginning, there's the middle, and then the end here. So this first leg up here off this low here would be a little bit like this one here. So it can move along quite quickly from this point here. So just be a little bit mindful of that there as well. But also today I wanted to talk about a bearish count as well, because I've never really been, when we look at this trend down here, I've never really been sort of happy the way that we've counted it down here. So if I come back to the 4-hour chart, he'll be a little bit easier. So the wave A down here, not a problem. wave B not a problem, but then 1 and 2 here, and the third wave counts quite nicely to here. So we've put the fourth wave all the way over here, but really we could count the fourth wave like this as well here, with the fourth wave here pulling back 38.2% and the wave 5 down here. Okay, so what that would make in essence is a slightly different pattern. So I'm just going to go to another chart just to highlight this, and it's something that we need to work through. So this is an alternative count, and from the top up here, then we have wave 1 here, ABC for wave 2, then wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, an A and a B and a C for the fourth wave here, and then down for the fifth wave. So in that case, it would make wave A here, and instead of having wave 1 up here, we have wave A, because wave A can be in 5 waves or 3 waves, wave B pulling back, and then wave C up here. So we've got this in this case as an A and a B and a C wave here. And then this is where it can fail. So it can fail at the 12,500 here, which is also the 61.8% from that high to that low here as well. And this length of A equals C here in terms of length, and then wave C down here. So we may get us down to the 38.2% retracement level at 11.8 here. I know this one is close, and that could be, this is just an alternative count, and it's something that we need to bear in mind. But in the short term, because we've got 5 waves here, then we should get 5 waves over here. This in here could get a little bit more messy in here as well. But wave 2 is normally, wave B can be complex, but wave 2 is normally quite simple. So we do have a simple ABC there. So we can shoot it. So in both cases, both counts for the time being, we are looking for a move up. Okay. Yeah. So let's just go. So this is just an area of concern. Okay. So it's just something that we've got to get through. If we get nice support on this 12,500 later on, then we know that we're going to go further up from that point. I'm going to go just to the tick chart now, the 100 ticks here. And I've just got to change it from 200 to 1,000. So I might just go a little bit wider here just to bring it in here. So basically we've been looking here at all of this as wave 1 here, and then an A wave and a B wave and a C wave back to wave 2, and also the 61.8% retracement level. So all that's quite fitting there at the moment. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if we take this high here, this low over here, then we're going to be looking at a place where the market can stall in here at the 50-60% retracement level in here, which also leads us into the 12,200 area. So really, you can see the support here, and then failing the next time round. So, there's going to be something in this space here. In the meantime here, I can count this as 1 and 2 and 3 here, and 4 here, and then 1 and 2. You could count it as 3 and 4 and 5 in here for this wave 5 here, but it sort of counts better as 1 and 2 in here, 3 and 4 and 5 here. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, but it could certainly be like this here. Not that it's going to make a lot of difference at this point either as well, because one of the things that we need to look for, as I mentioned before, is this is a level here, the 12,200. So I can't draw on this side over here, so it makes it a little bit difficult. But if I could use this space in here and this high here, then we have the arrival, the reaction, then we want the first high above the level, and then we want the market to come back and check it as support, So that would be the long trade here, that would be the long trade here, or if it got back up on here, then you could work it from this level here. So really this move up here, whichever way I count, it does appear that it's moving in 5 waves up here, so that's a good thing. But it is that first high above the level. Now, if this market, if I'm wrong and we don't get the correct, we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level and the ABC correction, if we don't get that and the market continues straight up here, then it's always the group 1 up here. So we've got 12,200 here, then we have 10, 20 and 30 as a group 1 here, subgroup 1. So if we get a tested support on top of that 30 there, that 12,230, and we're not going to get a pullback, then if you get tested support on that level there, then you need to go long from that point, because getting support there would separate, tested support here on number 3 would separate the market being pulled back to the closest largest number. So it's always the 3 that separates it, and you can use it, and it's you know, and it works fine. So yeah, let's just see how that goes there. The possible pullback area here too, if we take this here and we take it up to the 61.8% there, then we can bring it back to this space here. So that would be in here. So if there was a pullback on this side of the fence over here, then that's where we would be, that's where you would be looking at there at that point there. That's where it can pull back to. So there's a fair bit of work to do and skill that you need to still navigate yourself you know, through all of this here. If in any reason that the market pulls back down here further, then once this is group, this is 100 here, then we've got 10, 20 and 30. So the 20 in here, the 12,120, if that becomes a retested resistance here, then it's highly likely that the market will be pulled down to the 12,100, and if it's down here, then it's likely to bounce but also come further down at that point. So the 2 within the pivot, the number 2 within group 1 here, 1, 2 and 3, if it gets locked under that, then you know it's bearish at that particular point. Okay, taking a look at the AEX, I'm not sure where the little sign is, there we go. So in this case here, we've been looking at this wave 3 up here, and then wave 4, well, this wave 4 here being the end of the correction, but there was a good reason to consider that this particular wave 4 here was just the A wave coming down here, the B wave up here, and then 5 waves down through here, in terms of wave 1 here, wave 2 here, and then wave 1 and 2 and 3, working lower down here, looking for 5 waves down here. There's also the possibility of a bullish count here as well, and then in that case here, these guys would be swapped around here with wave 2 in place here, and this to move up from here. Now we'll be able to sort this out, but we just need a little bit more time and pattern in here. One of the things that we were looking at too, and I'll come back to this chart, but one of the things we were looking at with this market was Unilever here. So we had wave 3 here, an A and a B and a C for wave 4. We know wave 4s can get bigger and uglier, so maybe this is part of wave 4 here, but at the same time I could count quite a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for wave 1, A, B, C back for wave 2 here, and then I was looking at this as wave 1 here, ABC for wave 2 here, pulling, this came back to the 61.8%, this one came back to the 61.8%, this next move up here from this low here, that's also going to be quite close as well. We might as well put that in while we're here. So that's, you know, it's kind of doing the same thing. It's got that reoccurring sort of situation happening in the boxes here. So I was looking for, if I can put this, clean this up a little bit, wave 1 up here, then wave 2 coming back into this box, so we don't need that line anymore, and then looking for you know, wave 3 to the upside here, and we're going to use that as a trigger there. So I think that that's all fine, and if that gets triggered, then should be long at that point, so that's not the problem. Okay, so that's what the sort of bigger stock in this, you know, in that AEX is doing. So I'm going to remove that and come back here at this point. So really we need to sort of resolve this in here. I can see it being bullish or bearish. I also know too with the levels here, 500 is a major level. Then we've got the minor levels 1, 2 and 3 here. And I know that normally if the number 2 here, the pivot within group 1 here, the number 2, the 20 in this case, if this becomes the retested resistance, then it's a bit doomed at that stage and it's likely to be pulled down here. So that's one thing that we could look at here. But I think that we need to observe this dance in here a little bit further to get the right outcome here. So I'm not sure what degree of frame we'll look at, but we'll go to the 1 hour here. So like the AEX, we can look at this as wave 1 up and wave 2 back, and then wave 1 up, ABC for wave 2 back, and then climbing up here in a bullish way here. So like the AEX. In this case here though, we need to be mindful that there can be 2 different directions here. So obviously this is pushing up off the low here, the beginning of the trend, the middle of the trend, and the ending of the trend here. So it's slowing down. So we're looking at a bit of a rally in here. So this little box here, this is the 50-60% retracement level from that high to this low here. So if we got a tested support on top of that box there, and what we could do is use group 1. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 here as minor group 1. So then we've got subgroup 1, which would be 21, 22, and 23. And then we'll have 25 and 28 here. So we were looking at going long above this one here. So I'm just going to remove that. And we would have been looking to go long above that one. I can remove that. And if I can just make one of these up here. So, so what we're looking for now, we can bring that down from the top, down to that one, down to that one, and we can sort of bring it down to this space here now. But in this space here, the top of group 1 there, the 523, that would have to become the tested support. If that becomes the tested support, then start looking at long trades at that point. Build in a bit here, build on top of the next level, and keep building on the way up here. Okay, but if this market is going to fail, then this is where it's going to fail from here. And then in that case here, the first thing that we'd need to do is basically, well, it depends how far that moves. That can go there for the time being, because that is that's a part of a setup here for the short trade here, because this can't move down here. I can count it as 5 waves or an ABC here. I need to go in there and have a little closer look at that. But yeah, let's just see what occurs within this space here. We'll still have time to do what we need to do here. Obviously, if this moves down through here further, then we've got ourselves a more bearish count at that point. Yeah, that's okay. So I don't really have any answers for this just yet. It hasn't fallen into place enough yet. Okay, looking at the FTSE, pretty much the same sort of thing we'd been talking about before with this, in that looking at wave 3 high here, we know that this is corrective here, and I thought that this may be wave 4 here, depending on how this progressed through here. But this ended up being a corrective wave B here, and then certainly the sharp move down helps fix that up as well. So in this case here, I've been looking at wave 1, looking at an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave here. Normally there's some sort of equality in terms of the length of wave A to wave C, so I can take that on board. It is possible, while that low is in place here, that this wave C here of wave 4 can be, whoopsie-daisy, can be in place here. But once this sharp move down here, once that low gets taken out here, then it really puts it in the bearish mode from that point there. So we can look at wave C coming down here. Well, let's just put it in here. That's the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree. So that's what I was sort of thinking of there. But yeah, so we need to investigate this here for long trades and short trades. Obviously at this stage here, we can see that the 7,300 here, the top of group 1 is the actual support here. So normally if we were going long, we would have this B wave in here. That's the first point would go long at. This would be the next position to go as trigger to be long at. And we can bring that down and get a better position there. Even 7,400 as support would click in the long trade if that was going to be the case. But in this case here, we really need to have a look at the bearish side, and we need to know the triggers for that side there as well. Normally when you've got a nice support like this here, if it's going to fail and turn into resistance, then the market would come down here and bounce off that here like it has done here, and then come back in and test that again, and then there would be another bounce here, a bit like a ball, you know, bouncing for the first time high and the second time, you know, high, lower high, and so on, running out of steam. But once they do break through, they'll come back and check as well. So it's that check there that gives you that setup for the short trade there on the 300 area here. That's one way to look at it. So if I just move in here to the 4-hour chart here, and looking at it like this here, so we've got wave A in play, an A and a B and a C for the wave B here, and then looking for 5 waves down. Now the AEX had this particular move in here as well, but the AEX hasn't pulled all the way down like this one has, but this one is certainly offering more of a bearish mode, so that's where the AEX can fall into play here as well. The situation here is that the move down here can be counted in 5 waves. The rallies move back to the 61.8% retracement level here. Then it's come back down and bounced on here. Yes, it has covered a gap here. It hasn't taken out that low there. So it is possible from this move here that the market can continue to move up from that point. However, once that's breached, then it puts it into a different ball game, because a new low in here would give this whole structure a very unfinished look. It would give it the beginning of a larger trend to the downside, and that's what we're kind of looking at here for that wave 4 to finish. So we're looking for wave 1 and 2, and then 5 waves down for the 3rd wave here, then the 4th wave and the 5th wave. So that's what we'll be looking at here. So going from the 4-hour chart just to the hourly chart, so we can drill in a little bit on this area here and talk about that a bit. So, you know, this move down here, it can quite nicely be counted as 5 waves, and there may even be another little move in here once the market opens as well to bring it down into this space here. But the main point is here is that the 400.74 here is roughly the 61.8% mark here. So we've got, like, we'd go long from this one here, would go long from that one. I can bring that down here. But the next really long trade here in the degree of structure, in a safe way, would be having that 7,400 as support. That's your safe trade. Yes, you can go long in here as well, because we would expect another bounce off here. And if we do get a bounce off here, then this is the 50-60% retracement level here. There'll also be you know, group 1 to work in off here as well. So we can go 7-3 here. We can go 10, 20 and 30 here. So on the 30 here, you can see at the moment here that the 30 is trying to develop support, but it hasn't got support there yet. If you get tested support there, then you can move up to the long side here. But on the short side, we were looking at the 7-3 here is becoming the retested resistance. So the trigger would be that the market moving down for this time. I mean, it gets a nice big bounce here. This one here should get some sort of bounce off it here, but then eventually go through it. And if it does go through it, then it will come back and retest it, and then that will be your short trade here. If you can see that this bounce here, which would be this one here, is actually corrective, then you can look to short. And the first thing that you can do is that move up there being corrective, that would be in 3 waves, that move. So the bounce down, then there would be 3 waves here. So you can pretty much draw a line through the bottom here, and when that becomes the retested resistance, you can get your first order in there, and then once the 7-3 becomes, you can look to add at that point there as well. So there's many ways to get in here, but let's just see. We do need a bit of a setup in here to short at this stage yet. We can't short from here because we'd get trapped. So let's give this a session and see where we're at with this. So if this comes straight through here, then that becomes your reference point down here. Do you know what I mean? You still need that first low below the level and then the retest back and then coming back down here again as well. If you notice this is corrective, then just draw a line under that 3-wave structure, wherever it may be here, and then get your first position on that side there, because it may move quite swiftly into the 3rd wave here. If this was going to be bullish from here, which it still could be, but then we'd expect it to pull back to 50-60% sort of area in here and then move up from there, and it hasn't done that. So it does appear that it's in a bearish channel at the moment, so it's finding selling rallies in one way or another. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. It's quite a long video. Cheers.